Happy Wednesday, everyone. I am very glad that you could be here to join me today. Now, I've had a lot going on, and if you take a look at my counter, you are going to know that I've had a lot going on because I've been preparing for you guys to come and join me today. So, let's talk about what it is that we're doing. We're making a pretzel salad. Now, what the heck is a pretzel salad? Well, I want to tell you a story. You know, there are just some people in this world that are so sweet and so kind, and this is a story about one of those people. And I hope that at some point somebody in her family sees this and knows that it was her. For several years, I drove truck with my husband, and we traveled all over North America. Now, I just need 1 second here. Can I get you to turn that light on for me, please? We traveled all over North America, and many, many times we were down in Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, down in the southeastern states, and we loved it down there. There, now you can see me. And one day while we were down there, I was shopping for groceries in Walmart. And as I was shopping for groceries in Walmart, I met this little old lady who was in her late 80s, early 90s, and she was shopping for her own groceries, and I don't even know how the conversation started, but she told me about this wonderful pretzel salad that she and her family enjoyed. She said it's a family tradition, or a southern tradition, she said. So I didn't have a pen or paper, and that was kind of before smartphones and whatever, and she wouldn't have had one anyway, likely. Anyway, she said, if you give me your address, I will send you that recipe. And wouldn't you know it, when I got home, there was a letter from this lady with the recipe. And so that's what we are doing today, but today we are doing it keto style. So, as you can imagine, pretzel salad requires pretzels. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make pretzels. Making pretzels requires one more egg than I have right now. So we'll get one more out of the fridge. You need coconut flour, almond flour, butter and eggs and salt, and that's it. Okay, so we are going to put 2 eggs in our bowl. There we go. Now, you want to beat these up pretty well. And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of melted butter. Let's see if we can get our butter melted real quick. And we'll get these out of our way because we don't have a lot of extra room. Okay, so we have 2 eggs beaten up. Now, while we're waiting for that butter, I will tell you that this morning I am not drinking coffee because partly because I'm waiting for it to brew, partly because I'm going to make an iced coffee with my ice cubes from leftover coffee. Okay, now, in our, oh my goodness, my brain is just going 14 different places today. In our almond flour, we're going to put half a teaspoon-ish of salt. And you're going to want a little bit of extra salt a little later on, and I'll show you that in a bit. Okay, we're just going to mix this together. And we're going to add our butter to our eggs. You want to whip these because if you've melted it in the microwave, all of that butter out of there. You want to be whipping your eggs as you are adding the butter. Otherwise, you could end up with some little bits of scrambled egg in there, and that's not what we want. Okay, so we put the salt in the almond flour. Now, look at me. See? I can play the bells-ish. Okay. Get those out of the way. And I know I keep making noise every time we get together. I get noisy with the mixer, but this time it's necessary only because we want to save time. Okay, now we're going to turn this on and mix it up real quick. Now 14 grams, so 175 grams of almond flour, 2 eggs, 1 tablespoon of butter, which is about 10 grams, and then 14 grams of coconut flour. And we're just going to sprinkle that in there, 1 tablespoon at a time. Well, a little bit at a time. Okay. And we'll get this all mixed up. And look at us go. Okay, now we are going to need these again later. So, maybe we won't need them again later. Okay, we will get those out of our way. Now, this is our pretzel dough, and it needs to rest for 5 minutes. And the reason that it needs to rest for a little bit of time is because the coconut flour is very absorbent, and it is going to absorb the rest of the liquid that's in there. And it will be ready for us to make into pretzels. So we're just going to set this aside for 5 minutes, and we're going to work on some other stuff. Okay, so this is doing what it needs to do. That actually kind of tastes like a pretzel in a raw form. Okay, so did you bring a cup of coffee with you today? I hope you did, and I hope you have something delicious in it. Okay, now I'm going to show you when we get these all done. We are going to have a pan that kind of looks like mutant macaroni or something, I guess. But these are going to go in the oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. And at the end of that 10 minutes, we are going to put an egg wash on them. So to make the pretzels, I'm going to show you because I have some dough that is rested here for us. You just take a wee little piece of dough, just a small one, and you roll it out. Just like you did with plasticine or Play-Doh when you were a kid. And then, once you get it all rolled out, you might have to break this in two. Cut off the skinny end because you want these to be uniform. And then cut them in about 2-inch pieces and onto the sheet tray and into the oven. Okay, so we are going to pop this tray. We're going to do one more. You want to see me do one more? Okay, I'll do one more. Just pinch off a little piece. Not very big. And just roll it out. You know, some people might think that I'm a little bit nuts saying this, but I find this very therapeutic. It's just very calming. Not common, but calming. And this is going to be the base for our pretzel salad. Okay. We'll get those tossed on there, and then we are going to get this pan thrown in the oven at 350 degrees. We'll just do this last bit, and we'll leave that other last little bit until we do the other batch. Now this can go in the fridge and you can save it for a few days, so you don't need to do it all right away, although, you know, it's always best when it's fresh. Okay, now I am just going to send that to the oven, and it's going to go in at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. And we'll set this other piece right there with the dough that's resting, and we will leave that for later. Okay. Alexa, set a 10-minute timer.
10 minutes, starting now.
Oh, did the oven go off?
I'm not sure what you wanted to change.
There you go. Sometimes she is a great help, other times not so much. All right, now we have lots of other stuff to do. So the first thing we need to do is take a block of cream cheese. Now, if you have this at room temperature, it's a little bit easier. If you don't have it at room temperature, it's not a big deal, because we are going to beat this up with our beaters, which I just sent away because I said we probably wouldn't need them, and here we are needing them. But luckily, for me and for you guys, I have somebody that reads my mind. Good morning, Dell. You know, that lady that I met in Walmart that time, I couldn't believe when I got home and that was in the mail waiting for me, that she had actually done that for me. And I made it one time for a family event, and here's the sad part of that story. I made it once for a family event, and for those of you who don't know, my husband and I had 4 little dogs, and I set that recipe down on the table, on the coffee table, and one of our dogs grabbed it. He loved paper. Now, sadly, we don't have that little boy anymore, but he's never very far from our heart. Okay. We're just going to soften this up a bit. And then okay, let's get it out of the beater. See how that's working? As the beater's kind of hit the side of the bowl, it pulls out whatever in there, mostly. Okay, now we are going to add 3/4 of a cup of powdered erythritol. So we will do that. Now this is going to be kind of step 4. I'm going to add this in a couple of steps because powdered erythritol gets very, very dusty. Okay. So this is about 125 grams, thereabouts. Okay, now we're going to get this all mixed up, and you want to beat this until it's nice and creamy. And you can see it's making a mess, but it is definitely getting creamier. Oops. Okay. Just by tapping them on the side of the bowl. And, okay, we are gonna just finish, taste test. Yep, that's good. You know what, I have changed my mind. If a cup of coffee were to appear in front of me, I would be ever so grateful. And I would probably, if that cup of coffee were to appear, put Da Vinci cookie dough syrup in it because that is wonderful. Okay. There we go, and a cup of coffee just shows up. Okay, now, we definitely have made a bit of a mess. We are going to put salt on the pretzels now, but that's why we have a 10-minute timer. Another taste test. Yep, it's good. So at the 10-minute mark, we're going to take the pretzels out of the oven. We're going to put an egg wash on them. So an egg wash is egg white in this case. And just a wee little bit of water in it. It just thins down the egg white and it lets us put it on the, oh my goodness, here we go. We'll use one of these. It lets us put it on the pretzels a little bit better. Okay, now we're going to get this out of our way. And we have our egg whites to put on the pretzels at our 10-minute mark. Now we should probably clean up our mess a little bit, hey? And our dough is busy resting, so I will be able to make more pretzels a little bit later on. Okay, now we have our cream cheese and our sugar beat up. And the next thing that we need is whipped cream. And out of respect for your ears, because I really do appreciate, good morning, Evelyn. I really do appreciate the fact that you guys are here, and I don't want to use the electric mixer any more than I absolutely have to. Okay, now because I'm going to do this a little bit later, I'm going to throw this in a Ziploc bag right now and put it in the fridge. Okay, there is that. And we will send this away as well. And just squeeze the air out of the Ziploc bag. And we'll toss it in the fridge for later. It is that easy. And the ones that we have in the oven have still got about another 3 minutes to go. So we're going to get this mixed up. Now, you have some choices where this is concerned. You can throw stuff on the floor, like I just did. You can add a little bit of lemon zest to this. You can add a drop of lemon oil or a couple of teaspoons of lemon juice or lime juice. Just something that is going to go really well with strawberry, because that's going to be our main flavor. So with this one, I'm going to put in about half a teaspoon of lemon zest. And I'm not going to worry too much about there we go. I'm not going to worry about lemon juice because I just want a little bit of lemon flavor in here. Now, if it were just for me, I would absolutely be putting lemon juice in. But, you know, as we've talked about before, there are some things that I really love that Dell isn't a fan of. And you have to be really cognizant of who you're cooking for, because you want them to enjoy your cooking as well. Okay, now, there we go. We've got that mixed in there. And to this, we are going to add, if I can find my spoon, we're going to add 125 grams of whipped cream. Now, if you go looking for pretzel salad recipes online, and you will find some, and there's all different kinds of, you know, what berries you add and what you do, but one of the things that seems to be kind of a staple is that they call for whipped topping. Now, the reason that they call, you never know what you're going to find on your apron. The reason that they call for whipped topping is because whipped topping tends to hold its form better. But if when you make your whipped cream, you use a little bit of cream of tartar, it will also hold its form. Okay, now I'm going to run the mixer through this just a wee bit. Just to get it nice and blended together. Now this is not looking very much like a strawberry anything yet, I know. Okay, now our pretzels are calling us. Okay, now we are just going to set this aside because we do have to pay attention to our pretzels. They're going to come out of the oven and they're going to come and sit right over here, and we're going to put the egg wash on them. Clean up my mess a little bit. Alexa, stop. And my pocket right there. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to put this egg wash on them, and we're going to add a little bit of salt to them. Okay. Oops. Now this pan is very, very hot, and you can see that while I'm putting the egg wash on, some of it touched the side of the pan, and the egg just cooks because it just came out of a 350-degree oven. Now, we're using these pretzels today for our pretzel salad, but you don't have to. You can use them as pretzels. And one way or the other, we want them to be salted. So we're going to get the egg wash on here. We're going to get the salt on here. We're going to pop them back in the oven for another 10 minutes at 350 degrees. And take your time putting the egg wash on because you want everything to be nicely covered. It helps give it that beautiful brown pretzel color. Now you can see, looking at this pan, that this end is darker, and if you have a hot spot in your oven, and I obviously do, and I know that, make sure that when you put it back in the oven, that you put the spot that was a little bit darker at the other end. And that way you don't end up with a burnt end and a raw end. Okay. Now I'm being generous with the egg wash. Ouch. I'm being generous with the egg wash on here because I want these to be really pretty when they're done. And the egg wash really is what makes them very pretty. It gives them a lot of that golden brown color. So you just kind of roll them around. Now you'll see, and I didn't tell you this before. Whoops. Okay, let's get that out of there. There we go. You put them on parchment paper. You can spray these, spray a pan and just put them on a pan. I don't like doing that because the sprays, it has some kind of an aerosol thing in them. So I do use it sometimes, but if I don't have to, I don't. If you are going to use a pan without parchment paper and you're going to spray it, please make sure that you're using an olive oil or a coconut oil spray because those are going to be the best options when you're doing keto. Okay, now we're going to spread this out again so that nothing is all bunched up. And we're going to pop it back in the oven for another 10 minutes at 350 degrees, and then we will take a look and see what we've created. Okay, so this end, you want that in the other end of the oven this time. Okay, so we have our pretzels pretzeling, and we still have not talked about what we're going to do with them, but that's okay because it's a surprise. Okay, now we have our whipped cream and our cream cheese ready to go, and we're just going to scrape off these beaters. Whoops. You have to push the right button to scrape them off. Alexa, set a 10-minute timer.
10 minutes, starting now.
Now this pretzel salad is the perfect dish if you're going to any kind of a function where you're taking a dish, this is a beautiful dish to take. It can kind of double as a dessert or a jellied salad, or you can have it as a part of the main or a main part of the meal, or you can save it for dessert. Either way is absolutely fine. And you definitely want to make sure that you save a little bit at home for yourself, because once people taste this, they're not going to leave any for you. Okay, so do you lick your beaters? Honestly, how can you not? And that being said, I'm going to hand these ones off because I don't have time today because we're hanging out. Okay, so we have our filling ready. Now, if you don't want lemon in it or you want something else, we've got options. Okay, now the egg wash is just egg white, so you set the egg yolk aside. We'll use that a little later for lunch. Okay, now, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about my coffee because it's going to be wonderful. Now, I've made this recipe a little bit smaller, and I've done it on purpose because, oh, good deal. There's only 2 of us in our house, and we don't have an event to go to today. So I want to keep this as low carb as possible. You could put the pretzels in a container. They may absorb a little bit too much of the egg. They might be a little bit too coated. Brushing it on there keeps it a really thin, light coat, and that's really what you want with an egg wash. Yeah, you don't want to take a chance. And it depends on what you're doing, too. These pretzels aren't going to absorb nearly as much as a bun would. So it depends on what you're doing, how quickly and how much it will absorb. But I don't want it dripping wet when it's on the pan. I just want it nicely coated. And if you toss it, they tend to be a little more drippy. So we want to avoid that. Now, strawberries in our pretzel salad. Why you would have strawberries and pretzels together, right? But we're going to do it, and it's going to be amazing. So take a package of Jell-O and add the 1 cup of boiling water, and then just set it aside. We're only going to need half of this. Now, if you wanted, you could mix part of the strawberry mixture into your filling as well, but then you're not going to see the layers quite as well. And we want to see those layers today because they're very pretty. So, to intensify the strawberry flavor, instead of using, now this is a sugar-free Jell-O, instead of using 1 cup of boiling water and 1 cup of cold water, we're only using the 1 cup of boiling water. That's going to make the flavor, the strawberry flavor, more intense. So that's going to be a really nice complement in our pretzel salad. Now, how much time do we have? We still have 6 minutes and 39 seconds, but we're running out of time on the clock. So, when the pretzels are all done, you're going to take them out of the oven and crush them up. And to this, you are going to add about 2 tablespoons of melted butter and 1.5 tablespoons of granular erythritol. And I put the egg wash on those pretzels and I forgot to salt them. Did you notice that? That's okay. These ones are salted. Those ones I will deal with later. Now you're going to put your crushed pretzels, and you can crush them more than this if you like. You're going to put them in the bottom of a bowl, and on top of that, if I can find me a spatula right there. Okay, on top of that, we're going to put our cream cheese and whipped cream and lemon zest. And once you get this all put together, you need to chill it for at least a couple of hours. Now, I pre-chilled the strawberry Jell-O, so it isn't going to take quite as long. But if when you're doing this at home, do the pretzel base with the butter and the granular erythritol. You bake it in the oven at 350 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes until it looks nice and toasty. and then take it out and let it thoroughly cool. You don't want to melt your whipped cream and your cream cheese. So let it thoroughly cool. So I put it in the freezer to cool, and so it's nice and cold. Now you will notice with these pretzels that the butter in the bottom of the pan, you're still going to see it. It doesn't all absorb into the pretzels, and that's okay. That's what we want. Okay, so then we have the whipped cream and cream cheese and sugar and lemon zest. And on top of that, we're going to pour half of this. So we have 1 cup, 250 mils. So we're just going to pour about half of it. You can put all of it if you like. It is entirely up to you. You know, this one is for Del and I. I could put it all in here because the rules are my rules. Now, when I first got this recipe, as you can imagine, it was not keto. It was not made with keto pretzels, and it was not made with sugar-free Jell-O. And it certainly was not made with powdered erythritol in the cream cheese. But it was absolutely delicious. And even though this has not set in the fridge, the Jell-O's a little bit set. Not quite enough. But I am going to steal a bite of this. That hole will fill up with Jell-O, so I might have to... Look at that. Look at that. It is beautiful. And you have crunchy and creamy and sweet and a little bit of the lemon, and it's pardon me, it is wonderful. Now, this needs to go in the fridge for a couple hours. Let this strawberry Jell-O continue to set. If you're going somewhere, I'm going to pour the rest of this in there, why not? If you're going somewhere and you want to take this with you, you may want to add a cup of sliced strawberries. I'm not doing that today because I don't want the strawberries to be adding extra carbs to this. The only carbs in this right now are the pretzels on the bottom, and that's going to be minimal. Put the strawberries in if you like. Intensify the strawberry flavor in the Jell-O by only using half the water. It is going to be amazing, and people are going to be blown away by your pretzel salad. I hope all of you do your very best to live your best version of this shining life, and I will see you again on Sunday. And what we're doing on Sunday is a surprise, even to me, because I'm not sure yet. But I'll see you on Sunday, and I will see you on Friday. Okay, so Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 3 times a week, 10 a.m. Mountain. I look forward to seeing you here. Share this with your friends. Share it with your family. Make it and take it, or make it and eat it. You won't be sorry. Have a great week, everyone. I will see you on Friday.